All right, buckle up, everyone, because today we're diving headfirst into the life of a man who, well, let's just say he didn't back down from a challenge.
Martin Luther.
You got it. We're going deep, beyond the Reformation, beyond the headlines. Luther's story. It's one wild ride.
It's funny how you think you know a name, right? But Luther, he's inspiring, infuriating, and just, wow. The more you dig into the sources, the more you realize this guy was something else.
So, to even begin to grasp him, we got to go back. Early 1500s, Holy Roman
A
Empire.
church, I mean, forget just religion. This was power, politics, money, you name it.
Exactly. And into this world steps Martin Luther, monk, priest, challenging that power. It'd be like poking a bear with, well, let's just say it was a big risk.
Then that's Luther for you, even early on.
Yeah.
But to understand the rebel, you got to see where he came from, his upbringing. Strict, ambitious father pushed him towards law.
Can you imagine your life planned out before you even had a decent sip of ale?
Right. But he was brilliant, excelled in his studies.
Yeah.
Yet something about it.
Didn't sit right.
Exactly. He couldn't stand hypocrisy. Called university life, get this, a beer house and whorehouse. Not your average future saint quote, huh?
Laughed seven at me. Okay, maybe not the best college brochure material, but you have to wonder, did that disdain, that sense of calling out BS, did it stick with him?
Oh, it was baked in. Then, add in a near-death experience, 1505, caught in a thunderstorm. Lightning almost strikes him.
Whoa, talk about
She
dramatic.
cries out to Saint Anna, vows to become a monk if he survives,
Oh, man.
and, well,
The rest is history. But he didn't just dip his toes in the monastic life, did he? He dove in head first. Augustinian monk, the works. And remember, this is a guy who was on track to be a lawyer.
it's like the switch flipped. Intense personality,
Yeah.
but also you got to respect the conviction. This wasn't some phase. This was Luther going all in.
So we've got Luther, ex-lawyer turned monk, really wrestling with some big questions. But it's when he starts teaching theology that things really get interesting, right?
Like all that studying, all that wrestling with faith and authority, it leads him to this breakthrough. Justification by faith alone.
Now, that phrase, it's everywhere with Luther. But I'll admit, I'm no theology expert. What did that actually mean back then?
Imagine salvation, right? But it's not a free gift. It's a checklist. Good works, rituals, even money you give to the church.
Like a spiritual economy?
Pretty much. Indulgences, they were selling those, a way to spend less time in purgatory.
Mm-hmm.
Luther saw this and, well, let's just say he wasn't a fan.
Because it cheapened faith.
Exactly. He's arguing salvation is God's gift. You can't earn it. You receive it through faith in Jesus. And this wasn't just some academic debate. This was turning the church's teaching upside down.
Cue the earthquake. The 95 Theses.
It wasn't just about the indulgences, though, right? Luther saw a church obsessed with power, with wealth, losing its way.
And the Theses were his way of saying, hey, we need to talk. But he wasn't exactly subtle, was he? Directly challenging the Pope.
Bold move. He sends these theses to his bishop, and thanks to the printing press, bam. It's like going viral before viral was a thing.
Talk about ahead of his time. He knew how to get people talking, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. His message, it resonated. People from all walks of life, they were ready for this.
Yeah.
And that's how you get a Reformation.
But this wasn't just a war of words, was it? Things escalated quickly.
Luther's call before the church authorities, the Diet of Worms, 1521. The pressure was on. Recant your writings or else.
And Luther's response. Legendary.
Here I stand. I can do no other. God help me. Amen. He knew the risks, but he wouldn't back down.
What happened next?
He's declared an outlaw. Books are banned. His life's in danger. But he had protectors, powerful people who believed in him. They hide him away, Wartburg Castle. And it's there that he starts maybe his most lasting work, translating the New Testament into German.
A game changer, making the Bible accessible to everyone.
More than that, his translation, it was powerful.
Yeah.
Vivid language. It shaped the German language itself. Think about that, the impact on literature, on culture.
One man with that kind of ripple effect. It's incredible. But while he's translating, back in Wittenberg,
Things are getting interesting, you could say. Luther sparked this fire, and now other reformers, inspired by him, they're pushing even further. Clashes with authority, calls for social change, even destroying religious images.
things got a little out of hand.
You could say that.
Mm.
Luther eventually returns, tries to bring some order to the chaos, build a structure for this new Protestant church.
Not just tearing down, but building something new. That's a tough line to walk.
And he faced criticism from both sides. Some thought he didn't go far enough, others that he's gone too far.
It reminds you, even revolutions, they're not simple. It's messy, it's complex.
Exactly. And Luther's story, It embodies that complexity. Internal disputes, threats, violence. He dealt with it all.
And speaking of complex, we have to address the elephant in the room. Luther's writings about Jewish people. There's no way around it.
You're right. It's a part of his story we can't ignore, however difficult it is to confront.
We're back, and it's time to address the more difficult aspects of Luther's legacy. His writings about Jewish people.
We can't shy away from the harm caused by these writings. It's a part of his story that's deeply troubling.
It's hard to square this with the Luther who fought for religious freedom, who championed the individual conscience.
It's a reminder that history is full of these contradictions, that even those who fight for progress can hold prejudiced views.
So what can you tell us about these writings? How do we understand them in their historical context?
It's important to acknowledge that anti-Semitism was tragically common in Europe at the time. But Luther's writings, they went far beyond the norm.
Meaning?
He wasn't just espousing existing prejudices, he called for violence against Jewish communities, even their expulsion. He saw them as a threat to Christianity, and his language became increasingly hostile over time.
So this wasn't just a product of his time, it was something he actively cultivated.
Unfortunately, yes. It's a dark side of his legacy that continues to be debated and condemned.
It's a difficult conversation, but a necessary one.
Yeah.
Because it makes you wonder, how do we reconcile these horrific views with the positive impacts of his work? Can we even separate the two?
That's the challenge with historical figures, isn't it? They're not perfect heroes. They're complex human beings, capable of both great good and great harm. We can't erase Luther's anti-Semitism, but we can learn from it.
It's a reminder that progress isn't linear, that we have to be vigilant against prejudice even when it comes from unexpected places.
Precisely. So where do we go from here? Well, Luther's later years were marked by both personal fulfillment and continued struggle.
Right, because amidst all the upheaval, he also finds love, gets married, not exactly typical for a former monk.
Katharina von Bora was her name, a former nun herself. Imagine the scandal. 6 children later, they had quite the impact on Protestant family life.
Challenging norms left and right, what a story. But tell me, as Luther's health declined, was he able to find peace?
He continued preaching and writing up until his death in 1546. Despite all the turmoil, his faith and his family seem to have brought him solace.
A reminder that even amidst chaos, there can be peace. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Martin Luther's life, what stands out as his most significant contribution?
It's hard to pick just one. His translation of the Bible was incredibly impactful, but also he sparked a religious movement that challenged centuries of tradition. It forced people to think critically about their faith, about authority, and those questions, they're still relevant today.
Absolutely. Luther's story, it's messy, it's complex, it's full of contradictions, but it's a reminder that history is not just dates and names. It's about people grappling with big ideas, with real challenges.
And those challenges, those ideas, they continue to shape our world.
So to everyone listening, keep asking those tough questions. Keep grappling with the complexities of history, because that's how we learn and grow. That's how we avoid repeating the mistakes of the past.
Well said. Until next time, keep diving deeper into the stories that shape our world.
And keep those thinking caps on. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. If you love history, don't forget to subscribe to History with Bree and Peter. Join us for more fascinating stories from the past. Hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode.